friends, it's Jessie here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. In today's video, I am going to be sitting down and writing out the budget for the week. I'm a little bit late in doing this. I kind of wrote my draft budget and went about living my life. It is now Thursday when I'm sitting down to film this, so we've already spent some money. We've had a little bit of an issue finding time to film. I was waiting for my new desk to come in. I've got a new filming setup here, so if the sound is a little bit weird or the lighting is a little bit off, I apologize. It's the first video filming at my new desk, so bear with me while I kind of get my bearings a little bit. I have in front of me here my Franken planner, which you guys know I love. It is a big Happy Planner disc bound system, so it is 8.5 by 11. The discs are from Happy Planner, the cover is from Happy Planner, but a lot of what I have inside is actually not Happy Planner. For example, I have tons of pages here from an Erin Condren monthly planner that I have uncoiled and punched and put in here. I also have lots of other printables, including the ones that I use for my weekly budget, which are here. My Budget Mom printables, her Budget by Paycheck workbook. I just print everything on 28-pound paper. I punch it using a big arc punch, and I put it all together in the perfect budget planner for me. So we're going to be using this paycheck bill tracker today to figure out my budget for the week. This is the budget for May 18th through the 24th. My husband gets paid on Tuesdays, so our budget week and my calendar here start on Tuesday. All of the stickers you see on the page are stickers that I made for myself, so you cannot get these stickers, unfortunately. I know that's a bummer for some of you, but if you go on Etsy and you just search budget planner stickers, there's tons of options. As a matter of fact, I was just sent a ton of stickers from Jennifer Ann Plans. This shop here has really beautiful budgeting stickers. I have not used them yet. I just popped open the packaging and flipped through them, so you know, I don't know, so I can't comment on how they look on the page or anything. I can tell you though that these are absolutely beautiful, and she's got pretty affordable prices, so I'm not going to show you guys all of these stickers in this video, but I'm definitely going to be trying these stickers out and using them over the next couple of months, so you'll be able to see like my full thoughts and review. But I just thought I would mention these since I'm talking about stickers. She's got a lot of really beautiful options. I do have her shop linked down below, as well as a 20% off coupon code if you want to try these out before you kind of get my full review just by looking at the designs. I mean, come on, these are so cute. So definitely check out her shop if you're interested. Be on the lookout for a full review on her shop in the future. But she reached out and asked if she could send me some things to try out, and I was so excited to try them. So I'm really, really excited about these. Okay. So like I said, we're looking at the week of May 18th through the 24th. As you can see, we have two paychecks happening this week. My husband's paycheck on the 18th. He gets paid every single Tuesday. For those of you that are not familiar, we are primarily a single income family. My husband works full-time as a sewer and drain cleaner in the plumbing industry. I am primarily a stay-at-home mom to our teenage boys, but I do have a little bit of income that comes in once a month from my YouTube gig here. So we're going to be kind of pooling all that money together this week and coming up with a plan. So I'm going to go ahead and flip back to that paycheck bill tracker. and we're going to get started. So the paycheck date we're working with is May 18th and also May 21st. I just combine the two income sources into, you know, one pot, and then we pull from that pot to take care of all of our responsibilities. I don't talk about my husband's income here on this channel. He prefers that I not disclose how much he earns, and I respect that. But this is his paycheck number 3 for May, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that's right. So we're just going to leave the budgeted amount blank. This is typically where I would fill that in, but since we don't disclose that income, I'm not going to do that. But I will go ahead and tell you how much I earned from my YouTube videos. So the way that YouTube works is I actually get paid through Google AdSense. So all of those ads that you see at the start of my videos and kind of in the middle of my videos, that is where the income comes from. Every time you watch an ad, click on an ad, it helps bring in income from my channel. So Google AdSense pays out once a month, and it's on a month delay. So the income that I'm going to get paid this week is actually all of the income that I earned in April. So throughout April, as you guys were watching my videos, watching the ads, that sort of thing, I was making, you know, a little bit of money off of those ads. And at the end of the month, provided that I hit a $100 threshold, which I did, they go ahead and slate you to be paid out, and you get paid out on the 21st of the following month. So it's income that came in May, but it's the income I earned in April. Hopefully that makes sense. So you guys know, if you watched my videos in April when I talked about my March's income from YouTube, that it was my biggest YouTube paycheck ever. March was a phenomenal month for me. April was a little bit less. It wasn't the huge amount that I made in March, but it was still pretty good. I'm very, very happy with it, you guys. I absolutely love filming YouTube videos, so the fact that I get to spend my time making these videos and I get a little bit of income from it is just like a dream come true. So the amount that I earned in April that's going to be paid out this week is $489.44. So quite a bit less than March. The income I earned in March was up around almost $700. That's the thing about the income stream from Google AdSense, is just that it varies based on how many people view my videos, how many people watch the ads, that sort of thing. It can fluctuate a lot. Either way, I'm really, really happy with this. The fact, like I said, that I can make these videos, which I absolutely love doing and did for years for free, and earn a little bit of income is just amazing. So I always like to disclose how much money I bring in from YouTube. I know that I'm always curious to see what people make on YouTube, and also, you know, I would not have this income if it was not for all of you watching my videos. So thank you so much for your support on my channel. Like I said, if you like my video, if you watch through the ads, anytime you interact with my video, leave me a comment, hit the thumbs up button. That helps grow my channel. And obviously if you subscribe, that really helps out my channel as well. So if you like my content, the ways that you can support me are those. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate it. All right, I'm zoomed in really far here, so let's zoom in a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and start breaking down this budget. So the first section here is my bills category. And I put anything that's going to be paid with my checking account here under bills. I do a lot of my budgeting in cash. I pull out cash for quite a few things, but you can't pay cash for everything. So I think that the best way to do it the way that I've been doing it, the way that works for me, is to keep all of the items that are going to be paid through my checking account in one little section here. So that's any bills that I'm going to pay with my checking account. That's also anything that I know I'm going to use my debit for, any transactions. So in this case, that is all of the bills that we're going to pay this week, which we'll look at in my calendar in a moment. But it's also my groceries. I tend to do my grocery shopping online with the Walmart pickup, so it just makes sense to leave that cash in the bank to cover that transaction. And I'm also going to be doing a few of the categories I usually do in cash this week under this bills section, just because, like I said, I'm filming this on Thursday. I've already spent some money, so it doesn't really make sense to pull out cash when technically that money's already spent. So I'm just going to include it here in the bills section. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Okay. So the first thing we're going to write in here is grocery. As I mentioned, I do use the Walmart pickup service. I absolutely love the Walmart pickup service. It's a great way to save money on groceries. It's a great way to really easily stick to my grocery budget. I do have a link in the description box down below where you can get $10 off your first grocery pickup order of $50 or more. It helps you out and it also helps me out. I also get $10 off of a grocery order. So if you have never tried the Walmart pickup service, highly recommend it. Check it out. Use that link. Get your $10 off. So for groceries this week, I'm going to budget $150. That's kind of the typical amount that I budget for groceries for my family of 4. We are living in Southeast Michigan. I've got 2 very hungry teenage boys, so it costs about $150 to keep us fed for the week. That's just for groceries, by the way. This is not any household items like toilet paper, paper towels. I have a separate sinking fund for that, and we will talk all about sinking funds when I get to the sinking funds section. So that is my grocery budget. Now let's go ahead and flip back here to my calendar and take a look at the bills we're going to pay this week. So I write all of my bills in my calendar here in these little blue stickers. Makes it really easy to find. So for this week we have a Lowe's payment that I need to make, and also a few bills here. My Subaru payment, car insurance, and motorcycle insurance. So I'm going to go ahead and get those written in here next. So for Lowe's, that is a credit card. We tackle our credit cards by paying all of the minimum payments when they are due, obviously, so that we don't go, into the red there. And then we also focus on just one card at a time, making extra payments. So when I write in this Lowe's here, this is the minimum payment for this card. This is the card that I used to buy my refrigerator. It is on a 0 interest promotion until February of 2022, and that minimum payment is right around $30. So that is what I'm going to budget for that. Next up, I have my Subaru payment, and for that, I'm going to budget $400. I have car insurance, which I'm going to budget $165 for. And lastly, I have my husband's motorcycle insurance. We insure his motorcycle through a different company than our car insurance. That's why it's 2 separate line items. We were just able to get a better rate with a different company for his motorcycle, so that's what we do. And his motorcycle insurance is full coverage and it's super affordable. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of like $25 a month, so that's what I'm going to budget. So that is all of the bills that are due this week, but in addition to this, I'm also going to go ahead and write in city here. So if you watched my budget results video from last week, you will know that I put some items on a credit card. I found my new desk at a really affordable price. A desk was something that I was planning on buying, but I was not planning on buying it quite as soon as I did, and so I used my credit card rather than doing what I should have done and saving up the money and paying for it in cash. But before I made the purchase, I set up a plan to pay this back a little bit at a time. I'm not paying interest on this, so I don't feel too bad about it. Essentially what I'm doing with the city card is I am paying $40 a week. That is the amount of money that I typically would give myself for spending money. So I'm just not going to take spending money for a couple of weeks while I get this paid off, and that amount is $40. So I'm going to pay $40 to my city card rather than take it in cash and put it in my wallet to spend throughout the week. And then the other thing that I'm going to do here that I typically would do in cash is our eating out money, because we have already eaten out this week. So when we went to eat out, I just used my debit card since I hadn't yet gone to the bank and pulled out the cash. So that we budgeted $50 for. So that's it. That's everything. I'm just going to pull in my calculator here. Okay, so let's get this added up. 150 plus 30 plus 400 plus 165 plus 25 plus 40 plus 50 for a grand total of $860. So that's how much I know I need to leave in the bank to cover all of these things. Now we're going to move on to cash envelopes. So for cash envelopes, this is the cash that I pull out at the start of every week to get us through the week for all of our cash spending. Like I said, we primarily do cash for our budgets, typically. So the first category here is my husband's spending money. When we first set out to start budgeting and pay off our credit cards, we sat down and discussed the best way to go about spending money every week. My husband's pretty hands-off with the budget. He likes to just let me handle paying all the bills, worrying about how much extra we're going to pay towards debt, that sort of thing. And so when we first started out budgeting, he was using his debit card for his spending. And then I was constantly having to like nag him with, can I see the receipts for what you spent so I can put it into the budget? You know, where did this $2 go? Where did that $3 go? And it just wasn't a fun time for anybody. So we made the decision pretty early on to do spending money in cash. I give him his spending money at the start of every week. He can do whatever he wants with it. He doesn't have to answer to me. He doesn't have to show me receipts. I just give him that money. I take it out of the budget. If he has anything left over at the end of the week, he'll just roll it over into the next week. Works out really well for us. So I give him $40 at the start of every week to do whatever he wants with. All right, next up I have my oldest son. My oldest son is 18. He is living here at home, but he has a full-time job. He pretty much takes care of himself. I give him $20 in cash every week because he takes my youngest son to school every morning. And so I just compensate him for his gas and his time. So I give him $20 a week in cash. He can put it in his gas tank and he takes my youngest son to school. Speaking of my youngest son, he also gets a little bit of cash every week. This is his allowance. He's 13, so he's not old enough to work yet. He can't make his own money, so he does extra chores around the house to earn spending money from us so that he can, you know, buy himself video games or, you know, go to movies with friends or whatever it is. He uses that money, his own discretion, and we pull that out in cash every week. Typically, I would also have my spending money in here, but as you saw, I am putting that towards the city card for my desk and also for some Stitch Fix items that I purchased. I didn't mention that, but that also was part of that situation. Alright, so that takes care of that. Next up, I have lawn care. I pay $20 every week to 2 weeks to have my lawn mowed. I like to pull it out every week, and then we just kind of get it mowed if it needs it. If it doesn't need it, I'll roll that $20 over into next week. But I want to make sure I'm covered so that when the gentleman comes to cut our grass, we have the money ready for him. Next up, we have gas for our car, and for that I budget $40 a week. And the very last category here is miscellaneous. I like to have a miscellaneous 20 in my wallet at all times for, you know, anything that comes up that I didn't think to budget for. This is like an emergency 20 that you keep in your wallet just in case. So that is all of my cash envelope categories. So let's get this added up. 40 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 40 plus 20 is $160. It's typically more than that, but you guys saw in the bills section I added the eating out and what would typically be my spending money. So that's why this is a little bit lower than usual. Alright, so that's bills and cash envelopes taken care of. Next up, we have sinking funds. So if you are not familiar with sinking funds are little mini savings accounts that we set up for expenses that we know are coming throughout the year, but they're not necessarily weekly or monthly expenses, whether they are annual fees or things that happen just a couple of times a year, or things that we know might come up in the future. So things like car maintenance. Obviously, we know we're going to have to maintain our vehicle with oil changes and things, but also, you never know when your car's going to break down. So we like to put money aside a little bit at a time throughout the year so that when those things inevitably come up, we're prepared for them. We don't want to wait until the car breaks down and then go, oh crap, how are we going to pay for this? We're going to have to swipe a credit card. Instead, we just set aside little bits of money throughout the year so that it's built up and sitting there ready to go if and when we need it. We're going to be adding quite a bit of money to sinking funds this week. I'm pretty excited about it. We have really let our sinking funds dwindle a lot, which is why we set up the goal in May to kind of focus less on paying off our debts and more on bulking up our sinking funds. So I'm excited to be able to do that today. Alright, so for sinking funds, first thing we're going to add money to is our campground sinking fund. We have a camper and we have it on a campsite that we pay for annually. It's about $1,400 a year to have our camper there year-round. It's camping and amenities during camping season, but then it's also winter storage during the off-season, which is important because we live here in Michigan where there's lots of cold and snow, and we live in a mobile home community, so we don't have a lot of land or space to store our camper in the off-season. So rather than wait until that $1,400 is due and then scramble to come up with that money, we just put a little bit aside here and there throughout the year so that when that's due, it's covered. We're going to add $50 to our campground fund this week. Next up, we have car maintenance. As I mentioned, you never know when something's going to happen to your vehicle, and you want to have a little bit of money set aside for that. We're going to add $20 to our car maintenance fund. Next up, we have Christmas. We obviously celebrate Christmas. We really kind of go all out on Christmas. We tend to keep other holidays and birthdays and things really minimal, but Christmas is the one area where we really splash out. So we really want to make sure that we're setting aside money throughout the year so it's not one huge expense all at once at the end of the year. Sorry about that, I got a phone call. So for Christmas, we're going to be setting aside $50 this week. Next up, we have clothing. We like to set aside a little bit of money here and there so that when we need new clothing pieces, we have that money available, and we're going to put $20 in that fund. Next up is my husband's sinking fund. He is saving up for some tools and equipment for his job, and so I've been setting aside money here and there for that as well, and we're going to put $50 into that fund. Next fund is holidays. So in addition to Christmas, we also have a sinking fund for all of the other holidays. Like I said, we don't tend to go all out for the other holidays, but still, we like to save up for them and have the money on hand, so we just kind of lump them all together and have just one fund for holidays, and that one is going to get $20. Next, I have my household fund. So I mentioned when I was talking about groceries that we have a separate sinking fund for all of our household items, and that is this here. So I put a little bit of money into this fund here and there, and then whenever we need toilet paper, paper towels, toothpaste, shampoo, anything like that, it comes out of this household fund, so we don't have to dig into our grocery budget to pay for those things. I used to have those two items combined, but I was finding that in weeks when we ran out of a lot of things all at once, which always seems to happen to me, we weren't having quite enough money to pay for groceries and household, so I separated them to make it a little bit easier. And household items are things that we don't necessarily need every week. So rather than have them be a cash envelope or under my bills section, I just make a sinking fund for it and throw some money in there whenever I have extra money. My husband is paid based on commission, so his paychecks are not super consistent. You know, if work is slow one week, he might have a really low paycheck. If work is super busy, he might have a really high paycheck. And so sometimes I can put a ton of money into sinking funds. Sometimes I only can put a little bit of money into sinking funds. Right now we're really focusing on sinking funds because we've let them dwindle so much. And so I'm trying to put as much money as I can into our sinking funds right now before we kind of switch gears and go back to really focusing on paying off our extra debt. So our household items sinking fund is going to get a 20. Next up, we have pets. We have 2 kitty cats, Sirius and Jax, and their pet fund is for cat litter, cat food, vet visits, that sort of thing, and that's going to get $20 as well. Next up, we have school expenses. Sorry, you guys, it's like Grand Central Station here today. So many phone calls. So as I was saying, we have our school expenses sinking fund. So we're going to be doing back to school shopping in September. This also covers any sort of after school activity, anything that's kind of school related. It gets paid with our sinking fund here. And we're going to add $20 to that sinking fund this week. Next up, we have our vacation fund. And this is essentially pretty much just like our camping fund. We do camping trips pretty much every weekend, all camping season, and so we like to have money put away so that when we run out of propane or firewood or that sort of thing, just like camping expenses, we have that money set aside. So we're going to add $50 to our vacation fund, and I have run out of space, so I'm going to go ahead and add these up, and then I will move down to this extra savings category here to fill in the last sinking fund. I miscounted. I thought I would have just enough spaces, but apparently I don't. So we're just going to add up this section really quickly with my calculator. So we have 50 plus 20 plus 50 plus 20 plus 50 plus 20 40, 60, 80, plus 50. $320. And I'm actually just going to add this up again really quickly just to make sure I didn't miss anything, because that's a lot of 50s and 20s. Alright, yep, 320 is what I got there. So, really quickly, before we talk about this extra debt section, I'm just going to go into this extra savings section and add in that last sinking fund which is YouTube. So when I was talking about my YouTube income, I failed to mention that $489.44 that I received because of my YouTube channel is not taxed. So I need to set aside my own money for taxes so that when I go to file my taxes, I have it should I need it. So I always like to take 30% of the income and just stick it in an envelope, out of sight, out of mind, and not think about it until I file my taxes. So when I file my 2021 taxes, you know, anything that I owe will get taken from that envelope. And that way I don't have to worry about messing with owing the IRS money. That's the last thing I want. So the YouTube income was $489.44. And I'm going to take 30% of that. So that's $146.83. I'm just going to round it up and put $147 into my YouTube envelope. Typically, this would be up here in the sinking fund section, but as I mentioned, I just ran out of room. So we're going to stick it here under extra savings. It's fine. And that's going to be it for that savings total. I will also have a rollover amount, actually, that I will put in here in this extra savings category, but I don't fill that in on camera because I don't disclose that information. As I mentioned, because my husband is paid based on commission, his paychecks fluctuate a lot, so we tend to roll money over from week to week. So I will, when I write out my budget, I will budget the total amount that I budget will be less than what we actually have in the bank, and that leftover amount will get rolled over into the next week. That way, if my husband's paycheck is a little bit low next week, we're still able to cover our bills. I just don't talk about how much that is because it'd be way too easy to kind of add up all of these totals and figure out exactly what my husband's paycheck is, and that kind of defeats the purpose of not disclosing his income. So I'm just going to leave that blank and fill that in kind of on my own off camera. All right, so this last section then is the extra debt. So I mentioned that we are really focusing on bulking up our sinking funds and not focusing quite so much on debt this month. I was, for a long time there, paying somewhere in the neighborhood of $250 to $300 every single week to just one debt at a time to get it paid off. That was our debt snowball. For May, I've paused the debt snowball so we can focus more on bulking up our sinking funds, which is good because, like I said, our sinking funds had really dwindled down, but we don't want to pay nothing extra to our credit card because it's still our goal to pay off all of our credit card debt by the end of 2021. So the way that I have been focusing primarily on sinking funds, but still paying a little bit extra to our current debt that we're working on, which is a Walmart card. I'm just going to write that in here so that I remember, is by doing some fun debt payoff challenges. So in the back of my planner here, I have the little worksheets and things that I use to play these fun little games to figure out how much I'm going to pay to the debt. So first one we're going to play here is Debt Roulette. And this is something I made up for myself. This is a printable that I created using Canva. I do have this printable available as a free download in my Facebook group. So if you would like to play Debt Roulette along with me, you can go and join that group. It's the Jwhackers Fans and Friends Facebook group. I do have it linked in the description box below. And in the file section, I have this printable, as well as some others that you can print out and use for your own budget journey. So the way that Debt Roulette works is I just use a little app on my phone, little roulette wheel app, if I can find it. Here it is. It's called the Roulette Wheel of Luck. Again, I don't know how well you guys can see my phone with this filming setup. It's a really simple app that I found on the App Store. It's it does have ads unless you pay for the no ads version, so I'm sure that an ad is going to pop up here and disrupt my video, but I just have a little debt roulette wheel that I have set up. And in here, I have put in amounts from 10 to 50 in increments of 5. So 10, 15, 20, 25, and so on. So I just roll the little wheel, spin the little wheel rather, and whatever amount it lands on, that's how much I pay to the debt. $25 to that debt this week for debt roulette. So I just write in the paycheck date, which we said was May 18th, I believe. And we're going to pay $25 to my Walmart card in the name of debt roulette. So that's the first one. I play a total of 3 every single week to come up with how much I'm going to pay to that debt. The next one is Savopoly. So Savopoly is a fun challenge that I found on mothermeandI.com, and actually it's technically a savings challenge. The way that the premise of this is that you go around the board just like you would Monopoly. The property you land on correlates with how much money you would save. On that saving though, I'm taking that amount and paying it to the debt that I'm working on. So I'm just going to write the little date in here, which is 5/18. Last time I rolled, I was on this just visiting section here, and I use an app for this as well, a little dice roller app. You could pull out real dice if you wanted to, but I tend to always lose my dice. So instead, I just got an app on my phone because I don't ever lose my phone. So it's just a free dice roller app. I select the number of dice, which is 2, since you use 2 dice to play Monopoly, and then I just roll the dice. So I landed on 5, and then I just moved 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I landed on this slot here, which is, excuse me, $18. So that's how much I'm going to pay towards my Walmart card this week. So we had $25 from debt roulette, 18 from Savopoly, so we're up to 43. And the last one here is the 52-week savings challenge. So I got this printable from hasslefreesavings.com, and the way that this works is every week I just select a box, and that is how much I pay to the debt. So if we have a lot of money to work with, I might pick a higher number. If we have a lower amount of money to work with, I might pick a lower number. Just depends on what we're working with, but the idea behind this is that if you choose a different box every single week throughout the year and you set that amount of money aside, then by the end of the year you'll have $1,000. That's the way it works. I just converted it from a savings challenge to a debt payoff challenge. So I think for this week we are going to, let's see, let's do $32. So I'm just going to grab a little highlighter here so I can color this in. We're going to do $32 this week. All right. So if we take that 43 from before and add that 32, we're going to pay a total of $75 to our Walmart card this week. And that is how I do my debt challenges. So I'll just write that in here, $75. Okay, you guys, so that is it for my budget for the week. That's everything all kind of planned out. I will be back tomorrow with a cash envelope stuffing video, so I will go through and figure out how much cash I need to pull out of the bank, and I will do that, and I will stuff my envelopes with you. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I post new budgeting and lifestyle content here on my channel every single week. I'd love to have you come back. Definitely check out my Facebook group down below, as well as all of my other social media. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, friends!